Hi everyone, here's an introduction to week 3. I'm scrolling down on the Moodle homepage to the week 3 table, and as you have learned, the Scrum Master role plays an important role in the Agile writing model. As a facilitator, the Scrum Master helps to ensure that teams stay focused and productive. In the first project of the course, everyone will take turns in the Scrum Master role, so I've assigned the Scrum Master training reading. Please take a look at that. It's a book. You'll see it down here. It's a book, and so it has several chapters, and you might have to scroll down in order to see the left-hand navigation that leads to all the chapters. Please take a look at that and become familiar with that content. As we look at this watch section here, I've added some important information about file naming. It's a short video. It's under 2 minutes, so please take a look at that. It's very important. Next is the Agile Writing course model. Let's go to that and take a look at what we have. This gives you a breakdown of not only the whole course and what the expectation of 12 hours per week is based on. It also, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see different tabs, and you'll be able to see a detailed roadmap for the semester, which gives you a review of the kinds of work that we do sort of in class. If you can see, if we were, as you think about what a class session is like for this class, these are the sorts of activities that I plan for us. And then there's an assignment length due date piece that shows you an outline of how specific assignments play out during the semester. And then there's a sprint time breakdown, and this is the one that is especially important this week as we begin to practice sprints, from the sprint planning, which is the first step that you're involved in, through holding a 2-week sprint, during which time several scrums occur. At the end of the sprint, we review the materials you produced in the sprint review, and in the sprint retrospective, you review the process and relationships and the Moodle site and all the tools that you've used to determine what worked well and what needs to be improved on for the next sprint. Looking closely at this sprint planning section, you'll notice that a 2-week sprint requires about 2 hours of planning, and that is time that the team spends together thinking about what the requirements are and how to divide those requirements up into tasks, and then how to assign those tasks and rank those tasks in order of difficulty and complexity. And so to prepare for just 2 hours of conversation with the team requires extra time. So I just wanted to give you that heads up that the sprint planning cannot be rushed. It's an important part of your learning. It's time to think about what the actual assignments are, what the requirements are, and then how you as a team can satisfy the requirements. So this is, there's a temptation to rush this work, but it's always a mistake to do that because so much learning takes place during the session. You can think of the 2 hours as 2 class periods that you would typically spend in a classroom. And if you imagine all the work that goes into a 2 hour or into 2 hours of class time, it's really quite substantial. And so skipping over this step or treating it as anything but essential will result in misunderstandings about the assignment and probably wasted effort. So it's better to spend this time up front than to risk wasting time down the road after skipping this, should you skip this step or not really dig into it in any detail. If we go down to practice sprint planning questions, which is part of this week's assignment, let's see what we come up with here. Your job is to use the sprint planning questions at the beginning of the sprint to review the project vision and the backlog of requirements. I'm going to provide you with a vision and backlog of requirements, and these are going to be in priority order. As the calendar points out, this is a 4-week project, but because this is our first one together, I'm going to introduce it a week early so you have extra time to reflect on the requirements and to ask a lot of questions and compare notes with each other so you can come to mutual understanding about requirements. To prepare for your sprint planning sessions with your teammates, I encourage you to read through this page several times. Get a good sense of what needs to happen during your sprint planning meetings, the kinds of questions that you will be asking, and uh, and so being familiar with these planning questions and the idea of sprint planning and its purpose will help you prepare for when you're together. You should have questions ready in advance to ask your teammates about what sprint planning is all about. Um, Being prepared will help you use your time efficiently. After you've raised questions with your teammates, if you're not satisfied with the answers, if you can't come to an agreement about the purpose and the nature of sprint planning, then you'll want to shoot me an email as soon as possible. Don't necessarily wait for an answer before you try to work productively together, but certainly record those questions that seem to stump everyone or about which you can't come to a mutual agreeable answer. One of the most important aspects of the sprint planning meeting is a discussion of the project vision and requirements, and I will cover that material in a separate video.